Thanks, Ian. My name's Graham and Alex. Yeah, thanks for asking me to come and share, Ian. I'm sure you done it on purpose. You knew we was playing Villa today. Yeah, he even put in a text, didn't you? Yeah, it's good to be here, do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's nice to sort of come to a meeting that I ain't been to before. There's quite a lot of familiar faces in here that's heard me share before. You've got Dave, of course. But yeah, it's nice to be here and just sort of sat here sort of reflecting over my weekend really, and you know, it's been really nice. Friday night, sort of early night, chilled out. Yesterday, spent the day in London, went to the theatre, watched Fawlty Towers, really funny. I suggest it to any of you, really funny, and spent the night in a really nice hotel. And then got home today, met up with Raf and come to do a share. And you know, at the end of my using was nothing like that. Do you know what I mean? You know, I was living on some guy's spare room floor in South London. You know, scraping around for a bit of money to get a bit of crack, and you know, just living in squalor really. And you know, just yeah, it wasn't what was planned when I first started using. That's for sure. And you know, I had this sort of fantasy when I first started using that, you know, I was going to become something really sort of successful, and you know, that wasn't my experience. It just got worse. And you know, I had people telling me from a young age, you know, you're going down the wrong road, and I'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, I know exactly what I'm doing. And because for me, drugs done something for me. You know, early on that, you know, that I needed really. Do you know what I mean? It sort of talks about in the literature about sort of God doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. You know, in the beginning, drugs done for me what I couldn't do for myself. You know, I remember sort of growing up feeling really insecure. You know, I wasn't really good at communicating, just full of fear all the time. Sort of grew up in a house that was quite volatile, a lot of stuff going on, you know, a lot of domestic violence, and you know, I just remember being scared all the time, and I just remember really, you know, that self-doubt, self-loathing, you know, looking at other people and thinking, you know, you've got it sussed. You know, what have you got that I haven't? Do you know what I mean? And what I found when I used, it sort of took that away. It sort of took the fear away and sort of give me some courage really to sort of do life, like well, what I thought was life. And I thought I'd hit the jackpot when I found drugs, to be fair. And you know, it definitely done that thing for me, that, you know what, onwards and upwards, do you know what I mean? And you know, like I said, you know, not seeing the destruction that was, you know, ahead a few years down the line. And you know, I can't say it was bad from the beginning. You know, using was quite fun at the beginning. I was part of, you know, 89 when the rave scene started, going to raves, and I was talking to someone about it yesterday, and you know, Friday night would be Camden Palace, Saturday night would be the Rocket, and then Sunday we'd go to Sunday Roast, and it'd just be full on weekend, and you know, and then just cabbage for like 3 days, you know, on a sofa somewhere, do you know what I mean, smoking weed. And you know, that was great. I loved it. Do you know what I mean? And you know, going to fucking sorry to swear, it's on that. He's recording it. But, you know, going to these warehouse raves where you're meeting up in petrol stations and everyone's just going mental. It was just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It was such an experience, and I don't think an experience will come like that again. Do you know what I mean? So there was something good out of it, but you know, by the time I was sort of 21, I grew up in North London, you know, I ended up in South London, and my disease that I didn't know I had at the time was in full swing. It was off and running, you know, and you know, I'd do anything to use really, do you know what I mean? And you know, crack houses, you know, people's houses, it was just full on, do you know what I mean? I was in a relationship. You know, I'd be nicking her money, you know, nicking her bank card, you know, I'd get jobs and start working, and, you know, she'd turn up on a Friday morning to come and take all the money out of the bank, do you know what I mean, because I couldn't be trusted. And, yeah, it just got really messy, to be fair, and just running around South London, just trying to get one more, really. That's what it was, just get one more. And obviously that relationship broke down, and I ended up, like I said, living on this guy's spare room floor, and I'd be either work for a couple of weeks or I'd be on the dole for a few weeks. It was just that pattern all the time, and then I'd sort of manage to sort of try and get it together and get a bit of money together, get a little bed sit somewhere or a little flat, kit it out with a new bed, new TV, and within sort of 5-6 weeks, I'm sneaking out of this place with a black bag full of clothes because I can't pay the rent. Do you know what I mean? And it was just that cycle. That was my cycle for many, many years. And yeah, in the end, I ended up in this guy's house. I was there for about four years, I think. And it was just a wooden floor. I didn't have a bed, pile of dirty washing in the corner, and it was on the 3rd floor. I used to climb out the window to go and score because I didn't want him to know I was going to score. I never paid any rent. He fed me all the time. He was a good guy. He smoked crack himself, but he sort of could manage it a bit better than me. But yeah, I'd shuffle down the drain pipe, go and score, scuttle back up, have a use up, and yes, I didn't want to share it, mate. I weren't a sharer. He was a sharer, I weren't a sharer. And I'd smoke in parks, in post boxes, not post, but telephone boxes. Anywhere I could use on my own, really. And I'd latch on to people when I never had nothing. That was me. When I had a bit of money, I'd isolate, use on my own. When I had nothing, I'd latch on to anyone that had anything. And so by the time I sort of hit my sort of rock bottom, because for many years, because of what drugs done for me in the beginning, I justified, I rationalised, drugs were the best thing that had ever happened to my life. No one's going to tell me that they weren't. I swore by drugs. They were my friend, they were my family. They'd done that thing for me. So for me to admit that these were the problem was really difficult for me, and so I had to sort of go through all these reservations, do you know what I mean, to, smash that denial that I had for many years. And, thank God I got there in the end, and not being dead. Because the way I was using in the end was quite bad, do you know what I mean? I'm quite lucky to be, I'm healthy, I've not really had any consequences with my health. Which is a good thing, but the way I was using, I don't know how. I never died at some point. I had a lot of near-death experiences. A lot of war stories. I won't go into them. We've all heard a war story, but there were some experiences that happened that really I shouldn't have come out alive. And thank God that I'm still here to sort of tell my story. And so I sort of had this. Once I'd sort of got to the end of that sort of denial, it was like, and I thought, right, I need to stop using. That's when I really found out about how powerful this disease was and how powerless I was. Because, while I'm rationalising it and sort of justifying my using, I'm not really seeing the powerlessness. But as soon as I sort of wanted to stop, it's sort of like I could see, why do I keep doing this? Why? And I was really confused. And thank God for sort of Narcotics Anonymous, because when we came to my first meeting and sort of hearing about the disease, the obsession, the compulsion, it was like I got these answers that I'd been asking myself for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Because I just really didn't understand why I kept using. There was lots of sort of windows of opportunity for me to sort of go down a road that was sort of quite healthy and quite good, opportunities for jobs, relationships, friendships. And as quick as I sort of was there, it was gone, and I couldn't work out why, I kept losing all this stuff, why I couldn't just hold on to it. And it was because, I had to use. you know, using come first. So you know, I've got an interview for a really good job tomorrow. So I'd think to myself, I'm not going to use. You know, I'm going to be all right. You know, tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be really fresh, I'm going to have a shower, I'm going to have a shave, you know, I'm going to turn up, and then I'd use. You know, I'd use that night, I'd still be using at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, the birds are tweeting, doing my name, and, you know, I can't go to an interview now, do you know what I mean? So I'll just carry on using. And so, yeah, just answered a lot of questions. Like, you know, I was with a girl, and she was pregnant, and with my son that's now 19, and she said to me, you know, if you don't stop using, you're not going to be a part of this child's life. And you know, my dad weren't around when I was a kid, so I was one of these people that was convinced that if I had a child, I would turn up, you know, I'd be responsible, you know, I wouldn't let this kid down, you know, I'd be there, you know, because I was the kid that, you know, sat at the bedroom window looking out, waiting for my dad to turn up, and he wouldn't turn up, you know, because he was an active alcoholic, and he just wouldn't turn up. So I sort of had this experience that, you know, I wouldn't wish on any kid, and the reality was, you know, I couldn't do it. You know, I could not stop using for this child that wasn't even born yet, and I sort of justified it with that 9-month thing. Well, I've got 9 months, so, you know, a month would go by, I think, well, I've got another 8, I'll do it next month, and it just carried on. And by the time he was born, you know, I've been sort of told to stay away, don't come anywhere near us. You know, the family despised me, and you know, actually when I made amends to my son's nan and granddad, they sort of told me that they was going to pay something to get me weighed in quite badly. They despised me that much, and it's a different story today with them, to be fair, and that's another story, step 9. But yeah, I just couldn't stop using, and I remember just sort of using against my will, and sort of thinking about this kid that was born, and that was sort of, that I really wanted to be a part of his life, and I couldn't. And my main rock bottom was I was in a crack house in South London. Someone had a bottle of vodka in this crack house, and I've grabbed this bottle of vodka, and I've literally necked the whole bottle. So I've caused a bit of a row in this crack house, and ended up getting kicked out of this crack house, and yeah, kicked out of a crack house. And I had this key ring. I don't know if it was my mum or someone had managed to get this key ring through this letterbox that where I was staying, and it was a picture of my boy. He was a few days old, and this is all I had. This was like my world's possessions, apart from my, you know, pile of dirty washing in the corner. And you know, I held on to this key ring. You know, it's all I had. And well, I left this crack house. I sat on a wall. I was in a lot of self-pity, and I must have fallen off the wall and banged my head, and then I must have blacked out. And I come round back where I was staying. I'd lost this key ring, and you know, I've gone back looking everywhere for this key ring. Couldn't find this key ring, and it just broke me. You know, that day I'd seen what I'd become, and someone had been trying to 12-step me for sort of 8-9 months, and I didn't get clean straight away. It was another sort of, I think about 7 months before I went to my first meeting, but I sort of started connecting with this person who was coming to Narcotics Anonymous. You know, they'd tell me all about NA, what was going on here, and I'd be like, yeah, thank you, yeah. And they'd go, you coming to me? I'd be like, no, I'm all right. And I was convinced, you know, from these conversations, I had enough knowledge to sort of walk out there and not use. And I'd walk out, and within an hour, I'd be using. And that's what it was like. It was like I'd be pacing up and down again, not going to use today, not going to use today, not going to use today. Someone would knock at the door, £20 note, I'm gone. You know, and I'm not coming back with that £20 note, because I know they're going to go somewhere else. And, you know, I'd use, and then that sort of, you know, you've done it again, banging my head against the wall, and I've set the compulsion off again, and I'm just running around trying to get more. That was it, do you know what I mean? It was just, it was just like Groundhog Day every single day, and yeah, it was just horrible. And you know, I came to Narcotics Anonymous and got some answers, like I said, and you know, I believe I came to Narcotics Anonymous equipped with step one internally, but I just didn't really understand it. And coming to NA, listening to the reading, hearing people sharing, you know, identifying, you know, I started to piece together my own sort of answers to why, and yeah, it's just like the unmanageability stuff, do you know what I mean? And you know, convinced that if I just get this and this, you know, I won't have to use. And when I look back, I've had that, you know, so many times. Do you know what I mean? I've got a job, I've got a girlfriend, you know, and you know, and I just justified why I didn't want good stuff in my life. I justified it all, you know. You know, people say, why don't you get yourself a driver? And I was like, too much traffic, you know, all that sort of nonsense, do you know what I mean? And, you know, I got clean and you know, life started to take on a new meaning, really, and you know, and I learned to drive. You know, I was 36 when I got my driving licence. You know, started to go on holidays, and you know, started to find some self-respect for myself, really. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, I despise myself when I come in out. You know, I despise myself, you know, and you know, through this program, I've got to sort of right a lot of them wrongs that I made, you know, while in the disease of addiction. And yeah, I'm very grateful today to be clean. You know, I'm grateful for the life I've got today. It's not perfect, you know, I still have ups and downs, you know, yeah, life can still be really difficult. But you know, step one tells me I don't have to use. It's not the solution, believe me. You know, I used that, I was nearly 10 years clean when I relapsed, and you know, I thought I had this solid step one that I wouldn't have to use, and that wasn't my experience. You know, step two and the remaining the steps, you know, are the only things that are going to keep me clean. And you know, I can become powerless around, you know, anything. You know, cheese sandwich if it tastes good. Do you know what I mean? I won't stop eating them. Yeah, you know, like I said, you know, and I took my foot off the gas, stopped regularly going to meetings, wasn't really my sponsor, my support network was sort of pushed aside. You know, I started chasing money, you know, working sort of at 18-hour days, and it was just all about outside stuff, and I wasn't, you know, in the solution. And you know, at nearly 10 years clean, I'm running around Peckham trying to score, and you know, no one wanted to serve me up. You know, they all thought I was old Bill. And yeah, honestly, and I was going deeper and deeper in the really dark places of Peckham to try and score. And you know, I did end up, you know, scoring in the end. And yeah, it's just insanity, really. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I can't stay clean without this program, without coming to Narcotics Anonymous, without the program, without a sponsor, without doing what we do. You know, my experience is I can't stay clean. And so, yeah, I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.